Right, let's turn our attention now to ongoing concerns over Russia's role in the Syrian war. Moscow admits to sending weapons and advisors to Damascus, but it's dismissed reports of Russian military buildup in Syria. John Kerry having recently raised the issue with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. Joining me now in the studio is our expert on jihadi movements, Wasim Nasser. Wasim, we're just getting reports of Bulgaria confirming it has blocked the passage of Russian planes to Syria. Just to what extent is Russia involved militarily in Syria right now?
We should remember that Russia is an ally of the Syrian state since decades, since the Soviet Union era, since the era when the father of Bashar al-Assad, Al-Assad, was the president of this country. So there's many strategic and military agreements between the two countries, and we should know also that Russia has a naval base in Tartus, in the town of Tartus, since years. So they are present there, and pointing out what the Americans, the concerns of the Americans came out after a series of photos which were presented as Russians during combat in Syria. But actually these photos, if we can see them, maybe we could see them, they are photos of the base of Tartus. So Russian soldiers were at the base of Tartus. But what we see now on the screen is this combat vehicle, which is a BTR 82, is a new kind of combat vehicle which was put in the service in the Russian army in 2013. So it's the first time that we see this engine, this vehicle in Syria, and what was pointed out is the camouflage of the vehicle, the numbers that we see in Latin numbers on it, and the fact that the crew on it spoke Russian. So, but we should be careful. Maybe it was contractors, because contractors fought already in Syria in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and they were arrested when they came back to Moscow. It could be trainers, or officers, Russian officers who are aiding the Syrian army, and Russia and the President Putin didn't hide it, and it could be Russian military. We don't know yet, but what we know for sure is Russia is giving more and more military aid to the Syrian government, more and more logistical aid, and is involved since day one on the side of the Syrian government as well as Iran. So they are their allies since day one, and they are not changing now.
Now, the French President François Hollande announced yesterday that France was going to carry out reconnaissance missions over Syria with the aim of considering airstrikes. At the moment, they've just carried out airstrikes in Iraq. What would carrying out airstrikes in Syria as well change? Do you think it would make a real difference?
It won't change anything on the ground, I guess, because it's the same means that are deployed today over Iraq that are going to be stretched or expanded to Syria. But what we should point out in what President Hollande said, he said that these are reconnaissance missions in order maybe to make strikes which will avoid terror attacks in France. So it's the same logic or the same way of thinking as the UK did with Cameron. So we could expect maybe that France could call for specific strikes against maybe French citizens in the ranks of the Islamic State who are plotting an attack here in France, which is something very, very important today, because it's a kind of jurisprudence. It never happened before, because those people are going to be targeted and hit without any judgment regarding on proofs, of course, that might respective government have, but no judgment, which is very new. It was a modus operandi of the United States when they killed the famous Awlaki and his son in Yemen, his 16-year-old son in Yemen. They were American citizens. A few months ago, they killed the head of communication of Al-Qaeda, called Azam, the American, in Pakistan too. But this is very new for Europe. It's really new for Europe, and I guess that the first step was taken by the UK, and President Hollande talked to David Cameron yesterday, and I guess that this might be preparing the opinion to this kind of move.
That's what Philip Stoner was saying as well, that it's all about preparing the public opinion for a step up in action.
One step beyond.
Right. Thank you very much indeed, Wasim, for that analysis.